Hello students, this is Geethanjali. In the last class we learned about monogens, and in this class we'll be doing Protista. So Protista includes all the single-cell eukaryotic organisms, but its boundaries are not well defined. Let us take chlamydomonas as an example. Some scientists say it belongs to Protista, but others say it is an algae and hence should be placed in the plant kingdom. But even though it does not have well-defined boundaries, it forms a linking group between animals, plants, and fungi because the organisms that it includes show the characteristic features of animals like not having a cell wall, or plants like having a cell wall, and fungi like being saprophytic. And they're mainly aquatic. They can be motile. So when they're motile, they have either cilia or flagella, and they show both asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction through fragmentation or binary fission, and sexual reproduction takes place through fusion, which forms zygote. And this zygote, if the parent is haploid, it performs meiosis and forms again four haploid cells, which become mature later. Now we know the mode of nutrition. It can either be photosynthetic or heterotrophic. The categories in Protista, the subgroups of Protista, let us see. So there are chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, slimodes, and protozoans. So the photosynthetic ones are chrysophytes and dinoflagellates, and the heterotrophic ones are slimodes and protozoans. There is one group, that is euglenoids, which shows both, and hence its nutrition is called mixotropic nutrition. About chrysophytes. So chrysophytes include diatoms and desmids. What are desmids? Desmids are golden algae, okay? And they also include planktons, which form the first trophic level in ocean food chains, and they float passively in water currents, right? They're found both in freshwater and marine conditions, and they are photosynthetic, and hence they are the chief producers of the ocean. Okay, there's something special about the cell walls of these chrysophytes. So there are two parts which overlap with each other and fit like a soap box. And you can also see that there are some things in this cell wall. So these are nothing but silica. Okay, so they're impregnated with silica, and that's why these walls are indestructible. And as they're indestructible, over billions of years, these cell wall get deposited at the ocean bed, and they form a white gritty powder called diatomaceous earth. And this diatomaceous earth is used in the filtration and polishing of oils and syrups. Coming to dinoflagellates are mostly marine, okay, and depending upon the various pigments present in them, they can be red in color, green, blue, etc. And these dinoflagellates are again photosynthetic. So here is a dinoflagellate. You can see that the dinoflagellates on their outer surface have stiff plates, okay, that are made up of cellulose. And most of these dinoflagellates have two flagella. One is longitudinal, you can see here one longitudinal flagella, and one flagella is present transversely between the plates. Okay, so these are the plates that are present, and it is present transversely between these plates. One example of dinoflagellates is goniolates. Goniolates is a red dinoflagellate and it causes red tides because these are small organisms and they divide rapidly, right? So when they multiply rapidly, the color becomes very prominent and they form red tides. And also they release toxins too. And as they're in large amount, they harm the marine organisms like the fishes. Now, euglenoids are mainly found in fresh water, in stagnant water especially. And they do not have cell wall, okay, but they have a protein-rich layer called pellicle. And they also have two flagella, but one of them is very short and one of them is very long. And as I told you, they show mixotropic nutrition. When there is sunlight available, they perform photosynthesis, and when there is no sunlight, they act as heterotrophs and predate organisms, okay? Smaller organisms. Next, slime molds. So, slime molds are heterotrophs which are mainly saprophytic. Saprophytic means feeding on dead and decaying matter, right? So, they usually scroll around decaying matter like twigs, sticks, leaves, and all that. So, what these slime molds do is during favorable condition, okay, when the conditions are favorable for their growth, they form aggregations. They form aggregations called plasmodium, okay, and this plasmodium spreads over over several feet. But what happens when the conditions are unfavorable? So this aggregation plasmodium stops growing, and this plasmodium it differentiates into fruiting bodies, okay? And these fruiting bodies contain spores at their tip. So you can see here the fruiting bodies contain spores at their tips and they get dispersed by air. And these spores which are there, they possess true wall and that makes them extremely resistant and they can survive many years in this unfavorable conditions, right? So here is the slime mold. Now let's move on to protozoans. Protozoans are called primitive relatives of animals. Why? Because scientists have thought that animals might have evolved from protozoans itself because you see protozoans are heterotrophs and possess many characteristics which are similar to animals in today's age, right? Now let's see this table. This table basically depicts the subcategories of protozoans. Okay, so first we have amoeboid protozoans. They are present in freshwater, seawater, and even in moist soil. So how do they locomote? They have pseudopodia. So what is pseudopodia? You know, pseudo means false, right? So this means false feet. So they develop these extension sort extensions from their walls, cell membrane. Okay, these are called false feet or pseudopodia. And a special feature of these amoeboid protozoans is that they have silica shells on their surface. One famous example we all know is amoeba and also entamoeba. Next, flagellated protozoans. So these are either free living or parasitic. So the parasitic, they live in their hosts, right? And they possess a flagella that helps in locomoting, and the parasites of this flagellated protozoans, they cause diseases like sleeping sickness. And this disease is actually caused by trypanosoma. Ciliated protozoans are mainly aquatic, okay, and they possess a cilia. So you can see here, this is paramecium, and you can see it has cilia over here, right? One special feature of ciliated protozoans is that they have a cavity, okay, called a gullet. And this gullet, it leads up to the surface cell wall of these ciliated protozoans, and this cavity receives food with the help of cilia, which pushes the food into the cavity. Okay. Next is sporozoans. Sporozoans are mainly parasitic and they live in their hosts. And these are non-motile. They do not have cilia or flagella. And one special feature about these sporozoans is that they have an spore stage which is infectious in nature. And one famous example is Plasmodium, which causes malaria. So in malaria, that infectious stage is called sporozoite. This was all about Protista.